Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to a brand new video. Today I thought I would finally sit down and film the Q&A that I have been promising for ages. So we're going makeup free today. It's actually the first time in a couple of weeks that I haven't worn makeup. I just need to give my skin a little bit of a break, I think, because it's very reactive at the moment. My little helper is with me. Honey Puds, are you going to help me answer these questions? I've had a lot of questions and I've kind of been saving them up over the last, I feel like it's months now since I said I was going to be filming a Q&A once we were settled, but finally finding the time to do it. So I am just going to jump straight into the questions. So the first one, well actually the first two I'm going to say, because these questions kind of fold into one. So wondering how Marley feels about you all moving farther away, and what about Josh's son? Is he close to Wales, or how will that work? So I've had quite a few questions regarding the kind of dynamic on Marley and how often he will visit and whatnot. And if you've been watching my vlogs, then you'll know Marley is actually currently with us right now. It's half-term week, so he is with us, and that is kind of how we are going to be doing it. So Marley is going to come and stay with us for longer stretches of time. Whereas before, when we lived in Cornwall, he would come and stay with us every other weekend. Now he's going to come and stay for longer stretches of time, but within the school holidays. So in the UK, school holidays are roughly every 6 weeks. So give or take, I don't know, maybe a half term when Marley's mum would rather he stay there. Hopefully we'll have him for about a week at a time, sort of every 6 weeks. Obviously we did explain to Marley that we were moving before we moved, and I think because he has family here, oh, steady pudding, because he has his cousins here that he really gets on with, he was all for it, because it means that when he comes to visit us, when he comes to stay with us, he gets to spend time with his cousins too. And he actually joined in kickboxing last night, which I think he really enjoyed. All of the boys were so sweaty by the end of it, but yeah, in terms of that dynamic, everything is fine, everyone's happy. What kind of relationship do your boys have with their stepfather? Obviously by their stepfather you mean Josh. I think I've mentioned a couple of times on my channel that Josh is not my boy's dad, he is their stepdad, and they have a great relationship. So when Josh and I met, Eli was actually 2 and Zach was 4. Eli was just about to turn 3, and Marley was actually 6, just about to turn 7. So the boys were very young when I met Josh, so they've pretty much grown up with him, and they see him as a father figure. They have a really good relationship. It is a typical kind of parent-child dynamic. So yeah, what are you going to do about healthcare for Avery, as it's hard to get an appointment in Wales? Obviously, you know, we've only been here for a short amount of time, but in terms of what we're going to do for healthcare, you guys know referrals have already been made. So every NHS kind of treatment or therapy or consultant Avery had in England, she will also have in Wales, and then some actually, because there's been a couple of professionals that have reached out to us since we've been here that we didn't have access to in Cornwall. So Avery will have an endocrine specialist because of her adrenal issues, because of the hydrocortisone, which we didn't have in Cornwall, and she also will have a nutritionist along with the dietitian, which she didn't have in Cornwall. She just had the dietitian. So we already have 2 appointments for paediatrics this month, so I really don't think it's going to be that much of an issue. Referrals are taking a little bit of time. We still haven't heard from the OT or the physio, but I knew it wasn't just going to be, you know, straight away. Referrals do take time, unfortunately, anywhere in the UK, so I knew that was going to happen. But we do have a point of contact if, you know, we're just worried about something or we need help with something. We have Avery's community care nurse, who actually reached out to me before we even moved, so that made me feel quite comfortable. The people I'm very eager to kind of get in touch with is the equivalent of an epilepsy nurse service, because my epilepsy nurse, or should I say Avery's epilepsy nurse in Cornwall, was absolutely amazing. I mean, a lot of her professionals were amazing. There's a lot that I'm going to miss, especially Avery's physio. I was sad to say goodbye to all of them, but so far things are kind of going smoothly here. They're going as expected. I don't think we're going to have any more issues here than we did in Cornwall. Avery's little face looks a little puffy. Is it because of her medicine? We have noticed Avery has developed a little bit of a moon face over the last few months. It's tricky to be able to say for definite because, you know, it could just be because she's getting older and she's filling out, but hydrocortisone is a steroid and steroids do make you gain weight, and Avery did shoot up in her weight over the last few months, and it could very well be due to the hydrocortisone. I've mentioned before that hydrocortisone has given Avery a few funny symptoms, such as hair in places that a 3-year-old should not have hair. So yeah, it very well could be due to the medicine, but we can't say for definite really. I have another question here regarding kind of medical care. Will you be able to have the medical care you need swiftly? Now, you guys won't see it, but the amount of times it took me to actually say that question without stumbling on my words. Yeah, I've just answered that one. At the moment, things are going as expected. Referrals are taking a little bit of time to come through, but we have kind of a point of contact. So that is what is most important while the transitions are all kind of going through. Will Marley be making the move with you, and does Wales offer any financial help for stay-at-home parents taking care of a sick child? I've already explained, no, Marley is not moving with us, but he will be here in the school holidays. And in terms of financial help, I don't think it's massively different to Cornwall. Obviously, we are still in the UK, we're still governed by UK law. However, because Wales is its own country and it does kind of have its own sort of sub-government, there are some laws here in Wales that there aren't in England. In terms of financial help, Wales is a Labour-run government, whereas at the moment the kind of UK in general is a Conservative-run government, and what we found is that there is a lot more kind of help and assistance here in Wales, which is kind of one of the reasons, not one of the reasons we moved as such, but it was almost kind of one of the bonuses. There is a lot more financial support here, and obviously if ever we were in the position where we need it, we would take advantage of that, but at the moment we are fine, so we don't feel like we need to take funding when somebody else could use it more. Aren't you scared about starting all over in a new medical setting with Avery? Aren't you worried about finding a new home near hospitals and schools? And also, Josh has to find a new job. Lots of questions in that one comment. Josh has a new job, so Josh is here working. Once again, that was something that, you know, took a little bit of time, not too long, luckily. Within a couple of weeks of living here, he had a new job, so that is all settled. Was I scared? I wasn't scared because I knew things would all work out for the best, just from the research that we'd done. Was I nervous? Absolutely. I was definitely nervous about new professionals, especially when you build a really good rapport and a really good relationship with the professionals. Some of Avery's have been on board since she was born, so that's 3 years. So yes, definitely nervous, but not scared, no. And sometimes I feel like a professional just having a new perspective on Avery might be a good thing. And in terms of school, that's not something I'm worried about. The process is a little bit different, not because we've moved, but because we have decided to go down a different route. And I'm pretty sure there is another question in here regarding schools, but I'll touch upon it now. Instead of sending Avery to another mainstream school with one-to-one support, we've actually decided to apply directly to a special educational needs setting, and that is because the one that we've been looking into, which looks incredible by the way, enroll children from the age of 3 and then they actually stay until the age of 19, so that is one smooth transition, and then Avery can really get to know all of the staff members and the people that are going to be teaching her and looking after her. And I mean, the school we're looking at, there's nurses on staff, they have a hydrotherapy pool. It looks amazing, and it is specifically for children with complex needs and also very kind of like high level autism. So just for comparison, Zach wouldn't go to a school like that because he functions fairly well with his autism. So this school is kind of specific to the more severe children. and it looks amazing from what we've seen. So the process is different. We actually needed to apply through the council, and then it goes to a panel. I'm not worried about it because Avery's needs are pretty severe. I'd be very, very shocked if she didn't get into that school, and if not that school, then they'd be able to point us into the direction of another similar school, because I know there is more than one here. I also know that they have quite a lot of funding to sort of conjoin a couple of schools into kind of a huge special educational needs school. So I'm quite excited to see sort of how that comes about. But no, I'm not scared at all, and after being here for a few weeks already, I feel like we've made the right decision to move. Here we go. Will Avery be going back to nursery before you move? And when you move, will you have to start the same process over again with staying for the first few sessions? So obviously I've answered part of that question, but in terms of settling in sessions, 100% I will do some settling in sessions with her while she gets used to the staff, but I will not need to do it for so long. So if you guys remember, I actually did settling in sessions with Avery for around 6 months in the mainstream nursery. That wasn't just because it was new and there was new people, because Avery was actually really comfortable early on. The staff were not trained on the G-tube yet. Sorry guys, had to take a quick break because my brother and sister-in-law and my little niece popped over. So took a break to have a little chat with them and had some lunch. And now little Missy is being fed, aren't you, Puds? So let's try and figure out where I was. I think we were talking about settling in sessions with nursery. So no, I won't need to do as long of a period for settling in. However, I will still do some settling in while Avery just gets comfortable with the people, but Josh and I will actually feel much more comfortable leaving Avery there much sooner, because the training regarding sort of Avery's epilepsy and G-tube, that is the kind of thing that the staff members will already be trained up on. So it's not like I will kind of need to stay with Avery until they're trained. It's literally just going to be a case of staying with Avery until I feel that she is settled and comfortable. And Avery does get used to people very, very quickly. She seems to be comfortable around people after not long of knowing them, so I don't really have any worries with that. So it's just going to be until I feel comfortable that she feels comfortable, really. I think this question was asked in my last Q&A. Will you have any more children? I'll answer the same way that I answered in my last Q&A. It's not completely off the table for us, it's not completely off the cards. However, that is all I'm going to say. Obviously that is definitely something that Josh and I discuss in private, and I like to keep those discussions private. So I will say it's not completely off the cards, but it doesn't mean it's definitely happening. So I'll leave that at that. How did Avery cope with you and your husband in the Maldives? Has she been better health-wise lately? So two parts to that question. First of all, Avery did incredible while we were in the Maldives. As you guys know, my sister-in-law was looking after Avery, and she is a trained paediatric nurse, so we felt comfortable knowing that she could meet Avery's needs. And Avery seemed really, really happy. We did FaceTime her every day, and every time she was smiling, and I was getting constant reports from my sister-in-law and my mum saying how well she was doing. And as a matter of fact, if timing wasn't perfect, she was actually ill just before we went. She was better by the time we went, and then she got very ill just after we came back. So it's almost like she timed it perfectly so that we didn't have to stress while we were away. So yeah, she coped really, really well, and we coped fine knowing that she was well taken care of and that she was happy. And the second part to that question, has she been better health-wise lately? When you asked that question, I would have said no. Since we've moved, she has actually stopped coughing, which is the first time in 6 months. It's making me believe more and more that the reason why she was coughing so much and her chest was always so bad is because we had damp and mold in the old house. So she is doing 1,000 times better, and hopefully a cold will just be a cold in this household from now on. Wouldn't that be nice? Obviously she did have that little hospital stint when we first got here, but that was not due to any chest problems. She was obviously coughing a lot anyway. She did have the flu as well as a cold, so that really, really knocked her out. But the reason that we actually had to call an ambulance in the first place is because she was vomiting her hydrocortisone, which means that she's at risk of adrenal crisis. So It was more of a precaution thing that she was in hospital. She did need a little bit of oxygen, but then she did have the flu, so I'm not surprised, but she's doing a lot better now. Since that flu's kind of gone away, she hasn't been coughing, whereas in the old house, any time between illnesses, she would still have this persistent cough, which just never gave her any relief. Following on from that, since she's not been coughing so much, we've actually seen a little bit of movement in her development. We've noticed that she has been pulling her head up a lot more, which is really, really nice. And it just goes to show that when you feel rubbish, you just don't want to put any of your energy into anything else, which is why I tried to hold off on the stander and things like that for as long as I could. We are getting back into it, aren't we, buds? Yesterday, which you either will see or would have seen in my vlog, she went in her stander while we baked some lemon muffins, and she was actually in the stander for well over an hour in the kitchen with me, which was amazing. So really, really good progress. How's Avery doing? I've noticed that she's gotten chubby in the cheeks, so I feel like this has kind of been asked as well. She's doing great. She's doing really, really well, and yes, she definitely has a little bit of a moon face going on, but whether that's just because she's gaining weight or because of the steroids, we don't know. But yeah, she's got a very cute little moon face at the moment. Has Avery had any brain scans recently? No. So the last time Avery had an MRI, so are you talking with me? Are you talking with me? The last time Avery had an MRI scan was when she was in the acute stage from her cardiac arrest. So she was literally maybe a week old. The doctors haven't felt the need to put her under that again because she does need to go under general anaesthetic to have it done. We kind of know from her presentation how severe her brain injury is. It kind of correlates from the MRI that she had done. We knew her brain injury was severe. We knew the areas that were affected, the cerebellum, which is kind of where the cerebral palsy comes from, and there was some damage to her hippocampus. Now, we don't know what her memory is like, and another brain scan isn't going to tell us that either. Just like any two brain scans from two different children, they're completely different, or two identical brain scans on two different children could lead to incredibly different presentations and different symptoms. So a brain scan's not going to tell us a whole lot more than we don't already know. We know that Avery's conditions are severe. We don't know much beyond that because there's no black and white answer. No one's going to be able to tell us, only Avery can, as and when she is ready. Another question about Marley here. Will the boys still see their dads and Marley see Josh? I've already explained about Marley, and yes, the boys will still see their dads. All of that was arranged beforehand to make sure it still happens and the boys still have a relationship with their dads. So yeah, all that has been sorted. How does Avery react towards strangers? Does she seem interested in interacting with someone she doesn't recognise? I feel like I've just touched upon that in answering my other question. Avery actually does really well with people she doesn't know. She's seen a lot of new faces since we've moved here because we've been much more sociable than we ever have before, especially with the boys and their kickboxing. Everyone that meets Avery falls in love with her instantly, which doesn't surprise me in the slightest. And Avery, yes they do, and you know it, don't you? And Avery, she's just a little flirt. She loves people, she loves faces, she loves attention. So yeah, she actually does pretty well with strangers. That's never something we've had to worry about, luckily. Obviously that doesn't mean we're going to go and leave her with strangers, but it's nice to know that we can be... Oh, really? It's nice to know that we can be in a social situation where there are people maybe we don't know well or haven't met before, and Avery will be okay with that. Another one saying, how is Avery doing? Really well. Is Wales healthcare better than England? Again, I think I've touched on that one. It's hard for me to say if it is better or not. I believe it will be, just by what we've experienced so far, but I'll be able to give a more kind of educated answer on that when all the referrals have gone through and the therapies have kick-started again. Are your parents in Wales? Neither mine nor Josh's parents live in Wales. Josh's brother and sister-in-law, so my brother-in-law and sister-in-law live here. They are our family support, and so far they have been absolutely worth their weight in gold. They've been so supportive, so helpful. My parents actually live in the Midlands and Josh's parents are still in Cornwall. They never lived close to us even when we lived in Cornwall because they were kind of on the other end of Cornwall. But no, neither of us actually lived near our parents, but we still get a ton more support here than we were when we were back in Cornwall, especially since my mum moved away. I am technically a slight bit closer to my mum now. I'm maybe an hour closer to her, which in that very long journey, an hour does make a difference. Oh, okay, and I've just accidentally answered another question. Will you be moving closer to your mum? So technically yes, an hour closer. So where we were in Cornwall, it was about a 5-hour drive from where my mum lives, whereas here it's more of a 4-hour drive. So yes, a little bit closer, still not, you know, close enough, but like I said, that hour definitely makes a difference when you're driving that long. How is Avery and what made you move to Wales? Avery's great. Originally, the kind of main reason we decided to move to Wales is where we were in Cornwall, and just Cornwall as a whole is very expensive, and that wouldn't be a problem, except we need to think about Avery's future and the adaptations that she needs. I've just realised I feel really low down here. I'm just gonna pull this down just a bit. So we need to think about what she needs long term, and that's kind of in terms of housing adaptations, preferably a downstairs bedroom with a wet room attached to it, all the things that she will need as and when she gets too big for us to be able to handle her safely. I feel like we're kind of borderline there at the moment, because especially when she goes into a dystonic pattern, she is very strong. But yeah, we need to think about long term, and where we were in Cornwall, we could not afford to buy a house because the house prices were exceptionally expensive, like very expensive. And we had tried to be housed by the council, and we basically got told the chances were slim for Avery's needs to be met for them to house us. So we knew we weren't going to be able to meet Avery's needs where we were, and deciding on where to move to is A, because it is a Labour government and they do look after the people here. B, because the house prices are much lower. So if we can't be housed by the council here, then it is much more likely that we would be able to buy a property here to then get adapted to meet Avery's needs. And also the family support. Yes, we could have moved, you know, to the Midlands where my mum and dad live. However, my mum and dad still work full time. So those are kind of the main reasons. There are a ton of kind of perks and bonuses thrown in there as well, but those were kind of ultimately the reasons that made us make the decision to move here. Will you still be on YouTube in Wales? Well, I guess I'm kind of answering that question by being on camera right now. Yes, I do still plan to keep up with my videos. I can't promise twice a week, guys. I really can't. Everything is still so very hectic. We're still settling in. But even when, you know, we are settled, when I was filming and uploading twice a week, it was quite tiring, it was quite demanding, and I want to kind of relieve myself of that pressure that I have to do it. I have to upload twice a week. So my aim is to at least have a video up for you guys once a week, and if I can get that second video up, then great. Obviously that may change based on what's going on in our lives at the time. This week, for example, I'm hoping you will have had or have 2 videos. Next week is Zach's birthday, so there may likely only be one. Mostly probably a vlog over his birthday, but aside from that, my focus will kind of be on his birthday. So the likelihood is I will only do the 1 video, whereas before I would kill myself trying to get 2 videos up and do everything else. Whereas I'm gonna take care of myself a little bit better now that I'm getting back into it. I'm gonna make sure that my focus after the kids is then on me and my mental health, and just making sure I'm not putting too much pressure on myself before filming. I think maybe my priorities were a little bit mixed up last time. Obviously it's always kids first, but you know, no matter what, I would get a video up twice a week, and it just wasn't healthy for me. So yeah, that answers that question. Right next to that comment, actually, there is someone saying they can't wait until I go back to 2 videos per week. Obviously, if I can upload 2 videos in a week, like this week, as I'm filming this, the week would have already passed for you. There was 2. This week, as you're seeing this, there should be 2. Next week it may be 1. It just depends on what I can be filming, how long it's going to take me to film and edit, etc. So yeah, hopefully once a week, if I can twice a week. we'll just see how it goes, and hopefully you guys understand. I know you will, because you're just the best group of people ever. And you know, I think that is actually all of the questions, so we managed to get through them all. Hopefully if you did leave a question, then I have answered it. I'm thinking about making Q&As kind of like a semi-regular thing from now on, because I do often get questions in the comments and I can't always reply to comments. Again, I used to reply to every single one, but it's just another thing to add to the trying to take a little bit of pressure on myself. I do read your comments, I read every single one, and I appreciate every single one, and I will always kind of leave a thumbs up or a heart on your comment just to let you know I have read it, but replying to every single one does take a lot of time. So if there are questions in the comments, what I will probably do is either answer them while I'm filming within videos, or just dedicate all of the questions into one like semi-regular Q&A if I get enough questions. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you got a good bit of information that you've been wanting to know. Little Missy's feed has just finished, so it is perfect timing, and it is standard time now. So with that said, I will see you soon with another video. Bye guys.